Greetings, everyone. This is the Beattys, and we're just another day at the office. Today, the 16th of February, we're continuing to fill our Humpy inventory boxes. We're working on size 14s today. You're going to be sizing hackle while I get started, right?
Yep.
Well, let's make sure that all this is going to
Drinking coffee and sizing hackle.
important stuff, right? Good. Okay, well, let's get our side-by-sides up here. You look like you're in focus. Well, you've got a really wild fiber on your fly there. Anyway, it's just the focus fly anyway, so it makes it easier to focus. And my focus fly looks good, so it's time to go to work.
We don't want it so the focus so good that everybody can see our mistakes.
Yeah, that is a problem. I've noticed that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to start today. I'm continuing to use floss. This is the changeover size. We typically change over, so I'm going to try my first fly today with a single strand floss, and if it's too heavy, I'll tie the next fly with 6/0 thread. That's usually our changeover point when we're tying any flies, but especially the Humpy. Just kind of get that work back there towards the back. I'll stop my floss in the center of the body area. And in fact, I was going to share with you the recipe. So let me pop the recipe up there online. You can take a look at it while I get a little moose hair and for the tail on this fly. And then we'll come back. And right now I'm just cleaning that moose over the waste bin while you study the recipe. And if you think you're going to want to refer back to that recipe before I get all this posted online, then I would suggest you grab your cell phone and take a picture of the screen. But I'm switching back now to our regular cameras. There we are. And I've cleaned and stacked a bundle of moose body hair. Gretchen, looks to me like you're getting a pretty good stack of grizzly brown mixed hackle for the flies that I haven't tied.
Getting there.
Yeah. All right.
Some of these turned out to be 12s that I grabbed.
Oh, well, then at least you can find out ahead of time.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to switch over to the side-by-side cameras, Gretchen sizing hackle. And for me, I'm going to go over here and get some of this winging elk. We got the two different kinds. The elk here that I'm pointing at is off of the rib area of the animal. That's really good for the hump. And this is more up towards the backbone, shoulder, rump area. It's a little bit stiffer, a little bit denser, a lot better for the wings. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just getting a bundle to tie the wings. And I'll switch over to the waste bin here, clean out the underfur and hair and so forth.
Yeah.
And pick you back up at the vise.
Boy, that one's a 16. Look at how long that is. How long do you think that is?
Oh my God, that'll tie a dozen and a half flies.
But it's a 16, not a 14, unfortunately. Let's see here.
I got one bad fiber there. Let me grab my tweezers and I'll just get rid of that guy. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's right there. And I'm going to tie that on right there at the front. Looks about right. Notice how I'm wrapping the waste from the wing up and over the waste from the tail. Creates part of the hump. That way I don't have to put as much hair on for the hump that we're going to put on here in the next maneuver. I'm going to wrap my floss back to the center of the hook, All right. Move back over to the
It's 12.
area here and I'll get a small bundle of this softer hair for the hump. Stopping at the waist bin to get rid of the fur and short fibers. I wonder if we could save that fur and make dubbing out of it, Gretchen. That's a thought. I've never even tried it.
Go ahead.
I'll have to, too much work is what you're trying to say, huh? Okay, well, I think that was another way of saying no way. Okay, I'll trim off
Talk
that.
to me after I get taxes done.
Yeah, after taxes, that's right. Yeah, this is a business after all. This isn't just fun time flies, folks. In a business, you have to do things like taxes and all kinds of good stuff. In fact, the first part of the year is a really tough part of the year because you have income taxes that didn't get paid last year. You've got the first quarter estimated taxes for this year, and you have federal excise tax due for the first quarter. So the first quarter of any year is a tough year for somebody in our business because of 3 tax bills that land all at one time.
There's also property taxes.
Oh, yeah, property taxes too. And that nothing to do with time flies. It's just like everybody, you all have property taxes. I'm going to cinch this up. I want you to notice that,
Boy.
like we talked about before, but if you haven't seen it before, we trimmed the waist extra long so that Gretchen has got a place, or she can pull those waist fibers into the base of the wing and strengthen the connection between the wing and the hump.
I need some more grizzly.
I don't know if we can save this one or not, Gretchen. I messed up well, I got a fiber that it looks like it's going to be all right. Trim off the extra hair and set that down. Or extra floss. Here's a body for you. I'll set that right there in the area between us and get another.
Be right with you in a minute here.
I'm gonna grab myself a bundle of mousse for the tail and clean out the waist and put it in the stacker. And I can see I forgot to start my thread base, so I'll do that before I pull the hair out of the stacker. Probably wouldn't stay on the hook very well without some thread. All right, wrap into the back, halfway back to the middle of the hook. And, got a little bit of extra there. Let me pull out those real short fibers. We really only want those longer fibers. Size 14 for length, hook shank length, that is.
Okay, I'm back at it.
And I noticed you had your mic off there for a minute.
Yeah, I was over getting more
Well,
hackle.
we're getting more hackle, yeah. All right.
I had a lot of I was getting that just from it's not a regular hackle boxes, but it's where I just throw stuff when I'm done with it. And I had a lot of 12s in there for some reason. In the 14 bin, so.
That's the waste that I get out of and you can still see I have some waste left in it to get rid of. Just grab that right on the end there. Try to keep the static electricity from building up. Put it in the stacker. All right, measure it for length equal to the hook shank. And we can just set it down on the side of the hook. That looks like it's just about the right length, so I'll cinch it in place. Notice how the thread torque repositions that bundle and puts it right up on top of the hook. Boy, it's nice to get back to tying these smaller flies after all the time of tying the big ones. It's when you tie the smaller flies, I don't know, I find them a lot easier to tie than the really big flies. So when we're doing Zoom presentations, we do larger flies so that people watching can easily see what we're doing. One of the things you need to watch out for is, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. There's a hair that crossed over right here on the underside. You want to try to keep the hairs on even on the side. So you take your scissor point and pull it out and get those fibers so if they're on their side of the hook. Just makes for a more even positioned wing. It's easier for Gretchen to work with it. Okay, we get the bundle for the hump. Going back to the waist bin to get rid of the excess of the fur and short fibers. I don't need to stack this. This is just hair for the hump. And I got a little bit of extra here I want to get rid of. And I'll just cut those even. I'll do that right down here off screen. Come back with it so I can lay that thread right in there. And if I pull straight down on that thread, it's going to slip off. So I want you to notice that I'm pulling back, and that makes the hair stay right there, or the thread stay right in place on that hair. It doesn't slip off the bundle. Also notice that I do not wrap all the way back to the base of the wing. If I do go clear to the base of the wing, the waist from the hump tends to push the wing forward. It makes it really difficult to stand up. And I'm pushing from the back here to tighten that hump, and then holding forward. And then here's something I didn't mention on the last fly, but what you do is just temporarily relax the thread there before I tighten it up, pull up on the waist ends and then cinch it down. What that does is ensures that you've got a nice clean body on the underside of the hump. I'll pull this up, trim the waist, and throw a couple turns in front, grab my half hitch tool, throw in a half hitch, followed by a whip. And it's another one for Gretchen. I want you to notice that I'm keeping my hooks in a clamp. It's a lot easier to pick them up off of the hard table. Yeah, I can get a piece of foam out there, but the foam also collects materials that don't sweep off real easy. And one of the things that we often do, I'll just go back to the me camera. We use a basting brush to swish off hair and stuff out of our work area. So anyway, I got some hair fibers that are starting to collect down in that work area. So I'm going to just kind of sweep off and keep things clean. Keep stray fibers from ending up where you don't want them on the hook. And they will guarantee if you don't want them someplace, you're going to end up there. All right, starting my thread base back at about 1/3 on the hook shank. And I don't want to grab all the fun here talking to everybody, Gretchen. If you got something, just chime on in here.
Well, I'm starting on my second fly. I wasn't real happy with the first one for some reason, but I'll get in the groove here. Takes a little effort to cover up those ends.
Did I leave too many, or
No, it just, you just gotta get them all poked down.
Yeah, we've been working on other projects and haven't tied flies for the last couple days.
Yeah, I don't even know what we've been doing. Oh, I had to get a new printer yesterday.
Yeah,
I had my day all planned and I go to my computer and find my printer has finally died. It was old. It was time.
so off to Costco to get a new printer. And of course, there's always things you can't live without when you get to Costco. So anyway, what turned out to be an hour trip across town took all morning, and some flies didn't get tied yesterday, which we had planned to do this particular feature yesterday, and it didn't happen.
And it took me a lot longer to get that printer set up. But I was wanting it to talk to my cell phone and my computer. And I wanted it to scan. And anyway, we almost didn't get dinner.
Okay.
There's a fiber. I
Pretty
don't know
good
where
bundle. I
it
got
came
one
from.
wild one I don't like there.
Ah,
There's another one right there. I'll just get rid of it. There we go. Finally got it. Set it down on the side there.
I was fussing
Looks pretty
around
good.
trying to cut off a stray fiber. I have no idea where it came from. Didn't look like it was the end of hackle. I don't know what it was, but it was right over where the eye is. So you got to get rid of it. I'm starting with my grizzly, and I'm taking. Did you see that? I pulled that right out. Taking about 4 turns of grizzly. That little sucker turned on me. Let's see if I can make him go back the right way. There we go.
Okay, I'm cleaning the waste out of another bundle and I'm coming back over to the vise. You got it there, Gretch?
That was definitely a Christmas tree hackle. It got a little short on me there towards the end.
Why don't you explain Christmas tree hackle for those that are watching and don't know what we're talking about?
Christmas tree hackle is one that starts out with one size of fiber by the butt, and by the time you get to the tip of it, you've got a size or two smaller. So it is shaped like a Christmas tree.
Those are pretty difficult to use on this style of fly for those of you just watching in or just joining us.
When you're using 2 hackles, though, it kind of compensates.
Yeah, covers up a little bit sometimes. Well, anyway, it just sometimes the second hackle just adds some coloring to the inside of the.
There's a little
hackle.
short on room here for my hackle, so I'm going to have to use a half-hitch tool to finish it off. That was tough, Al. I need to take a look at how much room you're leaving me there for hackle. I have to talk to him every once in a while, but leaving enough for my job. Well, I guess I have to say you left me a third.
What's that?
You left me a third. I was just.
Okay. If the wings are getting too far forward, let me know. I can always kind of compensate a little bit.
It's probably me getting used to size 14 after all those 8s I've been tying.
Yeah.
I think I'll go down to just.
One of the things that you all don't know is that you may think that we haven't tied flies since the 1st of February because it's been that long since we had another video of a day at work. But actually, we've tied several, but we just don't want to continue to bore you guys like crazy, continuing to, I mean, wrapping thread gets to be pretty overwhelming after a while.
Well, and we spend quite a bit of time preparing for demonstrations, and we had
Yeah.
2 demonstrations last week. Was it 2 or 3?
Actually, we had 4.
Oh, we did. Oh dear.
Yeah, I know those Zoom demonstrations may seem like that there's nothing to getting ready for them, but there is quite a bit of work that is time-taking. Of course, it isn't like we do it like we were trying to run a foot race or something. We get waylaid like we do here, get to talking, and who knows what subjects will come up. But we really had to hustle last week. Like I said, we had 4 Zoom presentations to do last week. Okay. Now you're sure I'm not getting too far forward on those wings?
No, this one is beautiful.
Okay, well, I'm getting another bundle for the wings on this next one. Getting rid of the
last one, the one before this one, was a little short on the front, but this one,
okay.
this one is good. When you're tying with 2 hackles too, it's
Yeah, it's you can compensate a little bit by the way you take your turns, but 2 hackles, I mean, to get the right number of turns of each, you got to have a certain amount of space to fit it in there, or it's not going to work. Okay, setting my wing material down on the near side. That looks about right. Another soft turn over. Now I'm tightening up and just allowing the thread torque to reposition that hair up on top of the hook. And it fans it out as well. I'll show you the fan out here in just a minute as soon as I can get rid of this waste. All right, there's how it's all fanned out. It makes it a lot easier to divide it later for Gretchen. All right, I'll leave that hanging in the middle. Now, one of the things I want to make sure of before I go any further, I thought so. There's one hair here that got on the wrong side of the hook. There we go.
I need some hackle pliers for this one. My hackle's getting kind of short.
And I'm back getting another bundle of hair for the hump.
You know, you might as well have these well, there I got, if I could use 2 fingers, you might as well have those hackle pliers. I cannot open them.
Okay. They don't work for you, huh?
I'll just use one of these. I like these clips. Those
wire clips thingies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. They're an awful good hackle plier. See, I didn't pull back on that and it slipped right off. Now we're going to do this again. Now remember, see, now I'm going back rather than pulling straight down. I pulled straight down before and it slipped off. Now it doesn't. And I don't wrap all the way back to the wing base. Pull the hair over, pull forward. I got a hair out of place right here. Take my thumbnail and push it around and into place. And then the final tightening process is to push the hair forward and to tighten it. Relax the tension on the thread, pull up, down, pull it tight, check the body, looks good and clean. Pull the hair waist up, trim it off. Oh, I got a wild one. I got mixed in 2 wild ones. I gotta pull them out.
Not happy with this one at all.
And here's another one that got down and mixed in with the wing.
That red thread dividing the wings, you really need to make it solid. And then this one, it started slipping up on me. up the wing. So I'm going to take this apart. If I'm not happy with something, I'm not going to put it in my box. And I know the fish don't care, but
That's what people say, but the truth of the matter is that there's a good portion of these, besides going in our box, they're in the inventory boxes. They end up going out on customer orders. And we want them to be just as good as possible.
yeah, that one I just am not happy with it at all. So I'm fussing with it. It's not easy to cut everything off once you get this far along as I was, but we'll see if I can catch the end here.
Wasn't going quite right when I started that thread, so pull it off and start over. Don't try to go back and compensate. You usually end up messing up like I did there just again. Let me get these fibers out of here. Should have pulled them out in the first place.
There, I got the end of that, so I can wrap over the end. Well,
All
easy
right,
for
back
me to
over to the
say.
hair to get a piece of moose.
I think I'm gonna have to clip something on that, make it hang down so I can
And
catch
I'll stop at the waist bin back to on my way back to the vise.
There's another piece of thread. There we go. Let's catch that one too.
Okay, I've got some damaged thread here. And I'm going to back up a little bit. Throw a repair into the process. Go
There
back
we
to the
go.
center and get rid of this right there. That's still bad. I'm starting over. Not gonna have something like that go out the door. All right, let's try this again. All right, there we go.
The ends of my thread, so I'm good to go now. That was,
There, that's a lot cleaner.
boy, it sure takes a lot more time when you make a mistake.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. My problem is it looks messy. I don't know why it looks messy to me today, so I'm gonna work real hard on this one and see if I can come up with a better looking wing situation than I've been doing. Oh, that looks better.
All right, over to get another bundle of elk for the wing.
I think I'll turn this upside down so I can really focus on him.
And getting rid of the waste right in there, rapidly running my finger up and down like that off camera so I don't get it all over the camera.
There.
And I've knocked
Oh.
most of it out, but I wanted to show you just what that looks like. That's what it looks like until I grab it right here in the end. I don't stroke it all the way back. I grab it here on the end to pull it out.
I don't know if you can see this, but my trouble has been is I didn't like the way it was looking down in here between the wings. So I took a little extra time to cover up those butt ends a little more thoroughly. And I'm liking that better. So I'm going to have to just take a little more time than I was. Oop, I got my razor right here in the middle of my
I
head.
want you to notice that I'm tipping my hair stacker in the opposite direction that I did for the tail. The tail points in that direction. The wings don't. So point the hair stacker in the direction you're going to apply the material. And I know that's oversimplification of stuff, but anyway, that's today's tip, the best I could come up with on short notice, I guess. And I'll tie that one in place.
Got another one of these Christmas tree hackles, and it's lots of times it's a shorter one. Let's see if I can show this. See how big it is there, and it gets smaller. Whoops.
You want me to give you a full
Smaller,
screen,
smaller.
Gretch, or do you?
No, that's okay. I think they could see it.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's not that important anyway.
Actually, when we often save those Christmas tree hackles to use on Trude style flies, because if you think about the hackle platform that you're wrapping on a Trude style fly, you have a smaller platform towards the hook eye, and it's fatter back where the Trude wing attaches to the hook. So if you'll tie the feather on the front and wrap backwards, you'll actually take care of and use that Christmas tree hackle, where as the hackle gets smaller, you're climbing up the hill to a fatter part of the hook, and it will all come together and make a pretty good application. Just another way where you can use that hackle and still make a good looking fly.
Notice I just take 2 wraps over the end. Then I take my hand and dress it back and force the butt end of that hackle or the end of that hackle back into the wraps. Then I cut it off and it flips back into the hackle and you can't see it.
That didn't go right. Try that again.
I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I don't know why. I guess it looks okay. I'm just so used to those big flies with all the hackle and not used to tying these.
There we go. Finally got that one to lay right. Just didn't like the way the hump hair was coming into play on the whole thing. It was just not turning out even close to right. And I got a wing I need to snuck over on the wrong side of the hook. Okay, there, that looks better. You may not have been able to see it, but I'm looking at it from a little closer perspective than you all, and I could see it. And that just makes short fibers in the wing and looks a little bit off kilter. Doesn't change anything really, but
I caught some of the wing fibers with my hackle. So I'm taking my bodkin. This fly, it just does not want to be born.
that happens every now and then. I just had trouble with the one I finished. It well, anyway, I seemed to snag thread and everything. But anyhow.
There we go. I got it. That's better.
All right. Get some mousse.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay. I've been wrapping the hackles one at a time, and I just think I'm going to go back to wrapping both of them at the same time.
Back over the waist bin.
See if I can do a more professional job than this guy. Attach my thread.
Pull some of those short guys out. We didn't get them out the first time around. Those short ones will have a different consistency than the longer ones. And they will sometimes flare and cause just a wild fiber going in one direction or another. And that's because they're located in the hide just a little further down in the layer system, if you will. Those longer layered ones are like guard hairs, if you will, and are there But they're a little denser, and then the next layer down isn't quite as dense, so sometimes it's, if you get one that goes wild on you, you should have removed some of those short ones before you even tied it on the hook. All right, clean out the waste. And I'll put it in the stacker, and it's the same thing with the wing material. However, I've got some, okay, I've got something that's going to turn out bad. See, there's the short one right there. I can pull it out now, or it'll be fairly easy to pull out when I bring it out of the stacker. So let's take a look after it comes out of the stacker and see if there's any others that I may have missed. And as it turns out, I don't have any extra long ones, so that's good. That one that I found that I showed to him, that was it. But I've got a bundle here that's just got a few too many fibers in it. I'll pull a few out, that's better.
Yeah, I'm wrapping this hackle together. Doesn't want to stay together. There we go. I just like the way that lays better. Oh, yes. I'm happier with that.
Get in there and trim that off.
Yes.
And
Yes.
wrap towards the hook bend, fill that area in right there. And leave my thread hanging about the middle ellipse. Hung it on my scissors, that's not good. Make sure that we don't have any hair crossing over.
Yes.
Take care of that right there.
That looks so much better wrapping the hackles together. I just didn't like the way they were turning out.
Oh, you're wrapping them individual?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes it a little bit more difficult to tie off and keep a small head, but it's sure a lot easier to wrap them like
they
that.
just look so much better. And I did that one in a third of the time that I did the other one. Yes.
And one of the things I don't need to worry about the short hairs as much when I tie on the base or the hump is because I'm just using the base ends of the hair, and just trim that off, set it in place, and take a wrap around. And remember, I cannot pull down straight. I got to pull back or it'll slip off. All right, there we go.
I like to take a look. If I try to divide these with my fingers kind of hide what I'm doing. But if I take my scissors and I just look down from the back of the fly towards the front and take my scissors and kind of divide those, then I can get a more even division without having to go back and fix mistakes and fuss with it. It just works better for me that way. Then I just come back around now after I've done a couple of crisscrosses and start wrapping and hiding those butt ends.
Well, that's
And notice when I need to shorten my thread, I hold on to the wing so I don't pull it cattywampus.
right. That's the last one we're going to do for now, Gretchen. It's got some things to get ready for tomorrow for
How many have you done?
6.
Okay, we're just going to do a half dozen.
We'll do some more later tomorrow or whatever. I think we probably have repeated ourselves so many times here that people are
They've gone
starting to yawn anyway. So
or scream at the screen going, what?
anyway, there you've got it for today. And we'll be back
Look
again.
at the, I
one of
want
these
you to
days.
look at the difference of these though before we go off.
Okay, yeah.
See the difference in my hackle?
Let me get them in the close-up.
One of them I did one at a time, and the other I did both of them together. Can you see the difference there?
I haven't got my glasses on, so
Oh, okay.
let me get them on, take a look.
I think people might be interested in seeing the difference
I
there.
can see the difference right now. I can tell you this one right here, you wrap two. That's, and this one, you're wrapping one at a time.
Not as nice, is it?
Well, it's, I can tell the difference, but maybe a lot of folks wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but I can see it just like you can.
Yeah.
Except those back over there in front of you.
It's okay, but it just doesn't meet my hackle standard.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna close this down and take this fly off the computer and set it right there for you.
Okay.
And that's it for today, folks. We sure hope you're having a good time watching these.